Peeps, Kenny Molotov here in the studio. I wanted to let you guys know that I'm trying something new out on the channel. I'm trying to bring back a podcast that I used to do a couple of years ago called Chronicles of a Plumber. What this podcast is essentially going to do is it's going to talk about the different jobs that I do during the week, accompanied with any sort of new things that are happening in my life, which is a bit more of a personal topic, which I don't really get to discuss on the vlog. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and check out the rest of this video. I'm going to cut to the podcast right at the end of this right here. If you like it, leave a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below, because if you guys don't, then I'll try to do something else that will bring more value to your lives. Enjoy the podcast, and I'll see you guys very soon. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby. Alrighty, peeps. This is something very exciting going on. This is Chronicles of a Plumber. Something I've done before on the channel, but also something that I've strayed away from, and now trying again for you guys to see if it's something you're gonna enjoy. Hope you're doing well. Let the music cut out. Beautiful. Peeps, welcome to Chronicles of a Plumber. Here's a podcast that I'm planning on trying out for you guys because I want to see if it's something that adds value to your life. Chronicles of a Plumber, when I initially created it a few years ago, was just me talking about general and random things that were interesting to me, and also my journey on YouTube. As you probably know by now, I started YouTube as a gamer, and then by trying out a couple of different things like vlogs with plumbing, I found out that there's a community out there looking for plumbing related topic sort of things on YouTube. So all of a sudden I just tried vlogging, and it ended up working in my favor, and now we have a small little YouTube channel for plumbers. And I'm planning on bringing this back so you guys get a week-to-week sort of account of what's going on in my life plumbing-wise, because I do a vlog during the week, but it doesn't really grasp everything that's going on in my life with the plumbing aspect, because I work from Monday to Friday as a plumber, which means I do way more jobs than I actually vlog online. So this is a bit new to us, a bit new to me. I'm definitely a bit rusty right now, and I'm trying to sort of work out the kinks, but I wanted to get this thing going because I think it will be useful to you guys if you're interested in hearing more about what the job of plumbing entails, or even just what's going on in my life, if you've been following me thus far. And I also haven't been able to upload for a couple of weeks now because it's sort of been chaotic, which is what I'm going to get into next. But I do have some vlogs coming out. I have to basically just sit down and start editing, and also start doing the supplementary videos, which include some drawings and whatnot. But don't worry if you guys have been waiting for a vlog. There's one. I'm kicking my butt to make sure one comes out as of Monday. Today, by the way, is Saturday, March 24th, and this week has been a little bit less chaotic, but the weeks before this were absolutely nuts, and I'll tell you exactly what's been going on. My sister and my nephew came down. They live in Montreal. They came down to Ontario for about a week for their March break, which was a lot of fun, a tremendous amount of fun. But what you got to realize, and I don't know if it's like this in your lives, but when family comes over, for me, it's almost like I'm on vacation. So I actually put everything aside, and I just spent some time with them, which is exactly what I did. But, of course, if I'm doing that, that also means that YouTube is taking the back seat to things, and 2 weeks into it now, I'm 2 videos short of what I should have been. So it's something I'm trying to catch up to. But the nephew was in town with my sister. We did a lot of eating. We went out to a sushi restaurant that my sister's in love with. My nephew, who's 2 years old right now, is in his terrible twos. He's bossing everybody around the house, so confidently, I might add. And every once in a while, I feel like, just giving him a little nudge in the butt and saying, hey, just so you know, I'm going to get you during your video game days, and that's where I'm going to punish you back for taking all your tyranny at us when you're in your terrible twos. Yeah, I really can't wait for the video game stage. I can't wait to race some cars with the young man and whatnot, or whatever sort of games he's going to be into. I'm looking forward to that. But it was great having him around. I never really grew up around babies, so having him around is new territory for me. I'm trying to figure out the mentality behind young people that young, trying to see what they're into, what they do. And let me tell you right now, we've been watching a whole lot of Blippi. And I don't know if you guys know who Blippi is, but Blippi is a YouTuber who does kids-related videos. And, as an adult, I find Blippi a little bit irritating, but Blippi is killing it in the YouTube game with the kids. So I think he's doing a fantastic job. But I remember during my magic days, which I hope aren't over, but during my magic days, if you don't already know, peeps, I'm also a professional magician. That's what I do on the side. I've been taking quite a bit of time off of it, though, because my last gig, which I had for about 8 years, sort of petered out recently because of new management. But I remember doing my magic days. Oh boy, I really wasn't a fan of doing kids shows. Kids shows are a different level for me. So, mad respect to Blippi. Blippi, if you ever listen to this, I want you to know I absolutely respect you for what you do. It's not an easy thing to just, go crazy and pretend to be a kid and enjoy yourself doing kid stuff. It looks a lot of fun in one aspect, but in the other aspect, there's a big performance element to it that I'm not really cool with. But that's your thing. You're killing it. And so we've been watching a lot of Blippi, been playing a lot with a bunch of toys. It's really nice, man. I don't know. Like, it's really nice to have a baby around because it kind of puts everything in perspective, Like, I find that with family, we got a lot of tension really quickly, We sort of step on each other's toes quickly. We're the sort of family that when we first meet up, it's all great. It's all lovely. Within a couple of days, we're irritating each other. We got that passionate Mediterranean blood in us, so every once in a while, we'll just blast each other completely. And then, we'll try to become friends before leaving or whatnot. But that's the sort of family we have. But when we have the baby around, it actually kind of settles everybody because we're like, you can't yell in front of the baby. You guys got to be calm. So, nonetheless, the baby was here for about a week with my sister, and by the end of the week, everybody ended up getting sick, knock on wood. I didn't get sick for some reason. Normally, I'm usually the first one to get ill, but I seem to have been doing well with the baby and its illnesses thus far. So, that happened, and when that happens, I have such a hard time to video edit and vlog because when I especially go into the studio to do my drawings, the baby actually occupies that space when he's around. He sleeps in the spare bedroom, so I always have to take out my camera equipment and bring it downstairs into the basement in order for the baby to be comfortable up there. So all of a sudden, my life is in disarray, and I can't shoot any videos inside the studio, which are supplementary footage to my vlogs, which is something I sort of recently have been adding in with the drawings and whatnot for the plumbing. So that's why I sort of put everything on hold, because A, I really enjoy just spending time with them, and B, I don't really have anything set up to make as good of a vlog as I normally make. So it's something I'm working on, and I'm hoping that with the new move coming up, so that's a big hint, by the way. A couple of weeks ago, I told you guys about us house hunting, finding a house and whatnot. The wheels are currently in motion. I don't know if I'm going to get into what's been going on in detail as of yet until we finalize the deal, but the wheels are in motion, and my wife and I, Charity, are going to potentially purchase a home very, very soon. We're talking about within the next 4 or 5 days, we'll know if it's ours. But I digress. That was just a little bit of backup information about what's been going on in my life and why I haven't been able to upload. But I have a bunch of things I still want to get up onto the channel. I also have been posting on my Instagram quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but I've been trying to keep you guys updated on my Instagram to see exactly what's been going on in my life, because I know all of a sudden I disappear, I fall off the face of the earth, and it's like, where the hell did Kenny Molotov go? I've been around, man. I've been trying to I've been trying to find my way back into doing this YouTube thing, but it's taken me a while. You ever get so lazy that you have a hard time starting? Well, that's basically what happened to me. So I'm still working on it. I think I finally got the wheels in motion, but it's still going to take me a little bit of time to edit, but I'm excited because it should be done as of Monday. I know I've already said this a couple of times, but I just want to assure you, peeps, that's what's been going on. I also wanted to say, I don't know if this whole podcast thing is going to work, so please do me a favor. Leave me a like below. Leave me a comment if this is something that you want to see a weekly podcast or hear a weekly podcast of what's been going on in my life. So after you listen to this, let me know how you feel, because if it's not important to you guys, if it doesn't provide any value, then I won't go ahead and continue making these, because I want to provide only things that you guys really like and really want on the channel. But let me tell you about what's been going on, because the past 2 weeks, yes, with my sister in town and my nephew, have been a bit chaotic. Last week, so the last few days my sister was in town with my nephew, I had worked on Friday and Saturday, and I did a 12-hour day on Friday, and then I did another 10-hour day on Saturday. So I literally worked 22 hours in 2 days. And I remember Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of this week, I was an absolute wreck, because it was just so labor-intensive, these jobs. And whenever I work a 12-hour or 10-hour day, I always notice that I have such a hard time recovering from those, because your body's not really designed to work that long and that hard, especially when it's hard manual labor. Let me tell you what's been going on anyways. So I'll start with that Friday. That Friday we were working at a friend's house. We were working at Peter and Eric's. Peter and Eric are two close friends of mine, and their mother-in-law, well, Peter's mother-in-law, Eric's mom, wanted to renovate the bathroom, and that's in a condo. So what Eric's mom ended up buying was this kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's a bathtub, but the bathtub comes with walls. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these things. So the bathtub is fiberglass, and so are these walls, and these walls click in to the bathtub. And it's 3 walls, so you have one that goes up against the back wall, and then you have 2 of these that go up against the sides. This is something my dad and I have never done. We've done like 150 to 250 bathtubs in the past 4 years with me, but we've never done one that comes with walls that install and click into it. So it was a longer installation for us to begin with, just for the bathtub part and for the control valve part, because it's a whole new rough-in. What you got to do is you got to now measure the sides of the tub. You got to make sure it fits, which it fortunately did. And then afterwards, you have to rough in this control valve that you have that comes with it. Now, this one was a Moen control valve. It's something we've done a bunch of times, so it was simple for us to get that in. But getting the bathtub in and making sure that the height of the space was framed correctly, first of all, and it was high enough for these extra walls that come in. That was where, we lost a lot of time, because we had to double check and triple check that all these parts fit together, or else we were going to be doing a rough-in that we would eventually have to rip out and bring back to the supplier, which was something a bit nerve-wracking, because whenever you do something brand new, all the specs change for a few minutes, before you sort of make up a game plan, and all of a sudden you got to figure out all those things that you've been figuring out with your typical shower rough-in that you normally do. As I get better in plumbing, I come to realize that my dad tends to go after products that he knows, because he trusts them, first of all, and second of all, he's done them so many times that the installation isn't going to take forever. So the mere fact that we're doing a new bathtub with these extra elements involved meant that we were going to take a longer time, which wasn't a problem. But here's what ends up happening. We end up installing the bathtub and doing the rough-in for the tub and shower faucet, or the control valve, whatever you want to call it. What ends up happening is it's like 5 p.m. at this point, because we had to make sure so many variables fit. It's 5 p.m. at this point, and we start installing these walls, these fiberglass walls, onto the bathtub. And what we end up finding out is that wherever there were holes that were supposed to be holes to click into the other parts, a lot of these holes were off. And we learned that immediately as we tried to put in the back wall of this thing. So you know how you normally drywall and then you put tile over the drywall and this all goes over the bathtub? Well, these walls are essentially that, but you won't have to drywall and you won't have to tile afterwards because they already are technically watertight once you silicone them. But so we start trying to install these things, and these things just don't fit correctly. So the manufacturer manufactured them incorrectly. So whoever was cutting these holes, because they had little nubs that stuck out, and then you met them with holes on the other pieces, whoever cut these holes cut them incorrectly. So Dad and I would have to take them off and enlarge these holes so that it would eventually fit in. And that took a lot of time. And it was just a really difficult job, basically. It was really difficult to get done because everything was brand new to us. And on top of that, we were really upset about this, but the manufacturing was a little bit off. So we had to enlarge the holes. And once you enlarge the holes, you had to finally put it in, and then you had to silicone it, and then you had to cut a hole for the tub and shower faucet. You had to make sure the height was constantly correct. So needless to say, it took us an entire 12-hour day to get this done. We started at 9 a.m. in the morning. We left the place at 9 p.m. And we got a little bit lucky in this sense because we were working in a condominium. And according to the bylaw, you're not allowed to make noise after 5 p.m. at night. And we were making noise well into the evening, well close towards 9 p.m. So nobody called security. Nobody knocked on the door. We were in good shape in that sense. And we got this thing done. Now, here's where it gets a little bit messy. The following day, Saturday, I had promised another contractor we worked with to do another bathtub, which was a big mistake on my part, but promises are promises. I have to keep them because that man has a schedule that he needs to uphold, and I'm going to try to facilitate that the best that I can. So I had promised him I'd help him out with the bathtub. Dad was busy going shopping with my uncle, which is a common Saturday ritual. So come Saturday, I wake up at my usual weekday time, which is 7 a.m. I get ready. I come out the door. And guys, I'm super miserable at this point because I'm just so bloody tired. 12-hour days are such a pain in the butt because it's not 12 hours of just racking your brain with information and problem solving. It's also 12 hours of lifting things, putting things down, of then going to the truck, grabbing stuff, coming back up, walking all those steps, walking upstairs, taking elevators, blah, blah, blah. Eventually your body gets just as tired as your mind. And as we also know, there's a ratio or there's a correlation between your body deteriorating and your mind deteriorating at the same time. So if you were to work out your body, your mind would also get tired because your body's tired. Nonetheless, Saturday comes and I'm a bloody mess, okay? I'm exhausted. And I was sort of zombified, honestly. I went to bed the night before, I don't know, probably around 11:30, maybe midnight, okay? So maybe I pushed it a little bit so I could feel like a human. You ever get home late and you can't do anything and you just feel miserable? Well, I didn't want that to happen. So anyways, Saturday rolls around. I get up. I'm super tired. I get myself Tim Hortons tea and breakfast. You know, I start getting the blood pumping in my body with a little bit of caffeine. So far, I'm in good shape. We get to the job site. I meet our contractor. Everything's going smooth. We take the bathtub, we put it inside, and this contractor we're working with, Danny, is very meticulous. He's probably the best contractor I know. He is so detail-oriented. He is so good at making lines with tile. He is so good. Like, he's just great at everything. He's the perfect contractor, in my opinion, and that's why he charges a lot. Danny's floors are also immaculate. They are always level. They're always sturdy. You don't get any baloney with Danny. Danny is just awesome, and he's on top of it. So we get to the job site, and the floor's solid. He even shows me that it's level. We bring in the bathtub. We put it down. Peeps, this was the bathtub of a century. This was such a nightmarish bathtub because it wobbled in every direction. Every direction. So you got to imagine, you have your bathtub and it's got a length to it. It wobbled from side to side in the length, and then you have the width. It wobbled from side to side in the width. Danny and I were freaking out. Danny was losing his mind, actually. Danny's normally a really calm fellow. He's really good to work with, but Danny was super upset about this bathtub because it was all over the place. And he had spent plenty of time trying to level this floor before. So this bathtub started kicking our butts the moment we put it down. When we had lifted it up and we started roughing in the waste and overflow, we looked at the legs and we saw that the legs were all over the place. They were all cut differently, and that was the biggest problem with it. Now, there's a big issue that comes here, and there's a big question. The question becomes, it's sort of a defective product. You should be able to bring this thing back and get a bathtub that's exactly the same brand and same style with legs that aren't this terrible. So technically you could do that, but Danny's also on a timeline. That's why he asked me to come in on a Saturday, because he's thinking to himself, man, I'm already behind. I need to get this done. So now we sort of have to work around this idea of taking it back and getting a new bathtub because it's going to put Danny further behind. So we decide to go for it, install the bad boy, and let me tell you, the installation took quite a lengthy time just to get the bathtub in. So this was not in a condo, this was in a house, which usually poses an easier situation because in houses there are usually more space to get around and connect the drain. But in condos, everything is cement, so getting to the drain is quite difficult. But actually, the way it worked out is this house was way more difficult than the condo that we did before. It was just really difficult leveling this damn thing. And I remember at one point, Danny just got fed up. He goes, you know what? I'm just going to cement the thing. And this is a problem. This is something I think I've seen it once before. I have never seen somebody actually cement a bathtub in live. I only have removed, I think, one bathtub in my life where cement were underneath the feet. But in order to get a solid, sturdy ground of this bathtub, Danny mixed some cement. He then marked where the legs of the bathtub were going to show. And then he took that cement. He marked where the bathtub legs were going to stand. And then he took some cement. He had mixed it, made it really nice. And then he just put it exactly where those legs were going to be. Then we took the bathtub, we plopped it on top of that with all the roughing in already for the waste and overflow. And then we leveled it on top and just waited for the cement to cure. And while that was happening, I was working on the control valve. That took me, because the bathtub was all over the place, it took me around, that was another 10-hour day. And I'd like to point out it was a 10-hour day because I also wasn't starting off from a place where I had a lot of energy. I was exhausted, guys. I was so tired, and I couldn't problem solve the way I normally can, and I can't push my body the way I normally can. I was already quite a wreck. Quite a wreck. So that day's over. I get home. We have a bunch of guests over the house. People I absolutely adore and love. And I did my best to stay up as late as I could with them, but I couldn't. And I went to bed fairly early. I still went to bed at 11 p.m., but I was out cold. And I woke up the following day 12 hours later, I think. I went at 11. I woke up at 11. No, I woke up at 10. And on the Sunday, I had to end up going to the house that Charity and I are trying to buy. We had to double check on something. So the big drama with this house, Peeps, was that after we went into a bargaining phase, we ended up doing an inspection. And during the inspection, We got a little bit lucky because it warmed up here in Ontario and the snow started melting. And if this hadn't happened, we wouldn't have been able to see the problem that was with the house. As we went into the basement during inspection that week, we noticed that water was running into the basement from outside, which is a big indication of something bad usually. So we started freaking out. We started trying to figure out what they need to do to get it done. There was a lot of drama with that, which is something I'll get into at a later point. But finally, they decided, okay, they will take care of it. Thank goodness. So they took care of it, and that's why on Sunday we went to go inspect it once more to see what it looked like. We went with the entire family this time. It was the first time my mom, dad, sister, and nephew saw it. And my mom fell in love with it right away. She loved it. Dad was a little bit apprehensive, but for the most part, I think he's happy for us. Dad's a little bit hard to read sometimes. But overall, it went well. We ended up doing that second inspection. It looked like it was up to par and up to standard. We also got a warranty on the waterproofing that the company did. So we got that done. And like I said, I was a wreck that day as well because I just had worked 22 hours in 2 days. Like, I was exhausted. And with weeks like that, you don't have enough energy to do any video editing or anything of the sort like that. Plus, Sunday was the first day of my technical weekend. So I was exhausted, and I ended up taking the day off. And then after Sunday, Monday, my dad had to take my sister back to Montreal. So Monday I had off as well. And then, so I had 2 good days of sleep, basically. I tried napping as much as I could, but my body was recovering the entire week. I was super exhausted. And then Tuesday, I went back to Peter and Eric, and I ended up putting in a vanity for them. The vanity was pretty straightforward. Nothing really too complex about it. But one funny thing that ended up happening was Peter and Eric have cats, right? So when I had put in the vanity, it looked like their vanity was cracked because one of the cat hairs was on it, and it's like a really dark gray hair, and it just made it look like there was a perfect crack in this porcelain. In the vanity, and it sort of freaked us out. And then as soon as I wiped it off, it was a moment of relief because Peter's mom or mother-in-law had spent 3 weeks back ordering this thing, so it finally came in just a couple of days prior to this. So she was really worried that it was going to be cracked, but it all worked out there. Wednesday, this has been a pretty calm week because the work wasn't too demanding. Wednesday, I ended up getting a call to go to a family's house, and here's what was happening. The lady was saying that the bathtub was leaking only when people took a bath. And for those of you that know plumbing, know that only one thing is being activated in theory. There's a bunch of variables that can take place, but usually if the caulking around the bathtub and the base of the bathtub is okay, usually the biggest issue is one thing is being activated during a bath, plumbing-wise, that only takes place usually during a bath than it would in a shower. So the mere fact that people are showering in this bathtub and everything's okay, but the bath is not doing well, is a big indication to me that it's the overflow of the bathtub. Now, if you don't know what an overflow is, if you go into your bathtub, you have the regular place your bathtub drains into, and right above it, if you look about 6 inches above it, on the vertical aspect of the bathtub, you're going to see this little knob on it. And that knob is an overflow. And what the overflow is designed for is that when you sit in a bath, because the volume of the bathtub is going to raise. I don't know if this is the right nomenclature, peeps, so just bear with me in my lack of scientific terms right now. You fill up your bathtub, you sit in the bathtub, the water's going to raise. And in order for that water not to fall on the floor, the bathtub's designed with an overflow so that It's an additional drain put onto your bathtub that water goes into and drains into, essentially, so that you can sit in it correctly. So that is what's leaking, most likely, if everything else is okay, and you're taking a bath, and it doesn't leak it during the shower. So I went into this house, and I started doing work on the overflow. You initially start by testing everything, and just like the family was saying, when you shower, everything's fine. I noticed that I ran water in the drain for quite a lengthy time. The drain was perfectly fine. So I had to raise the water in the bathtub and then start throwing it into the overflow. And that's when we were able to see that water was actually dripping from the overflow. So I replaced the overflow. I siliconed it, which was an additional seal. I didn't start with that. So, what you normally do with the overflow is usually it has a rubber gasket or some sort of gasket, and that's what I did. I replaced the gasket, but for an additional seal, I also put silicone around the gasket on the outside and also around the gasket on the inside so that water wouldn't escape if there was any compromises to the gasket. And after doing that, I wasn't able to actually test it because I just put new silicone in. So, put it together. And a couple of days later, I called the family. I said, "Hey, were you guys able to test it?" And they said yes. And so far, it's been good. So I think it was just the overflow that was compromised in that situation. On Thursday, we did something interesting. Actually, something I have never done before. We installed a water fountain. We technically roughed it in. We haven't done the finishing aspect of it yet, but we were installing one of these water fountains that has a sensor and you can fill up a water bottle with it as well. That's the first time I've ever installed one or roughed one in. I've seen them all over campuses. I remember when I was going to York, they started putting these things in. But it was an interesting install because you really have to look at the instructions on this thing, because if you don't know the dimensions and if you don't know where your drain and where your supply line's supposed to come in, it's a little bit difficult to sort of gauge. So we were really engaged with the instructions that they gave us, and thank goodness they gave it to us, because we wouldn't even know where to start if we had to sort of do it by eye. And then what did we do on Thursday? What did we do on Friday? Yesterday was another bathtub, basically. Yeah, peeps, it's been a lot of bathtubs these past couple of weeks. And here's something I got to say about bathtubs. I sort of hate bathtubs. They are a really tremendously difficult fixture for my dad and I. And I don't know if that's fair to say. I don't know if other people feel that way, because from what I understand, there are people out there that only do bathtubs, especially if you're doing new construction and you get good at bathtubs. What they do is just they take that person and they say, okay, you're doing bathtubs for the rest of this building. I'm really curious to know how fast bathtubs can go, because they always take a couple of hours for my dad and I. And it's usually just the leveling of the bathtub that takes the longest time. Once the bathtub is in, the control valve is the easy part for us. And that's what I noticed for myself as well. That's really what I'm trained on. I'm really trained on putting in the pipes. I know how to do that, and I know how to do that fairly quickly. I'm not as fast as my dad, but I feel like I'm almost there. I'm getting there. Give me about a year or so, and you can compare me to my dad speed-wise and accuracy-wise on that, but it's always putting in this bloody bathtub that takes forever, because, okay, you put it in, then you got to figure out if the level is on. If the level's decent, perfect, you lift it up, you got to start putting shims. Once you put the shims in, you put it back in, you got to check again. Okay, yeah, it looks better. Perfect. Let's lift it up. Let's start building this drain. Okay, the drain's starting to be built. You put it back down. Now, in order to do your final stage, which is secure the drain, actually solder it or actually glue it, You also have to do that while the bathtub is perfectly shimmed and perfectly level. So now you got to level it again. You got to make sure you're in place and you have space to do the drain. You do the drain finally, and then you got to secure the bathtub to the sides of the studs. You do that, then you do your shower control valve. So it's a lengthy process. And not only that, the interesting thing about bathtubs is that not only is a lengthy process to install, but it's also a lengthy process to test, because in order to correctly test a bathtub, you need to first start running water in it, and then you got to fill up the bathtub. So, that takes like at least 5 to 10 minutes, maybe even a bit more, to fill up a big bathtub and then start draining it. And if anything goes wrong during that section of time, you're going to have to somehow which is okay. Well, you're going to have to somehow drain it. First of all, there's a preliminary test of filling it up only a little bit and then draining it to see if it's a problem, if there's anything wrong with the drain. That way, you don't have a whole bathtub full of water. But even testing the bathtub alone is usually a bit lengthier. Other vanities and stuff like that are usually simpler to test. So that's my 2 cents. Bathtubs are very, very exhausting, very, very tiring, but we're getting better at them, I guess. So that's been the week for me, and that's why I haven't been able to upload very much, because work's been sort of at my throat, and it's been some days difficult, some days not. I find that at the beginning of the week it's really calm, and then by the end of the week it's like everybody has called you and said that they need a piece of you this week, and only this week. And that's one thing I think we need to really work on as a company. We need to work on saying, no, I can't come in. It's my weekend. I have a life. I have a wife. I have a family. I have friends I want to see. That's something that my dad and I are going to have to work on, because I think we're just too kind. You know what I mean? Normally, plumbing companies, especially the big ones, charge time and a half on weekends. There ain't no time and a half happening here on the Kenny Molotov front. Let me tell you that. So a couple of interesting things that happened this week is I got a notification from the YouTube app saying that I got my first 100 likes on one video, which was really cool because I didn't know that was a milestone, but I seem to have hit it this week. And I'm going to tell you exactly what video that is. That video is the very first vlog I have ever done, and I named it A Day in the Life of a Plumber / Plumbing Apprentice, blah, blah, blah. I really maximized the name on it so I could get good tags. And I'm sitting at 100 likes, man. 10,244 views on a video that I didn't ever monetize. So it literally built this high all by itself. 100 likes, 8 dislikes. That was, Peeps, this was the exact video. This was the exact video that was the catalyst for me to turn into a YouTube plumber. Does that make sense to you guys? Like I was doing gaming before and after this video, and just for the hell of it, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Let me just throw up a video. Let me just try something new. Let me just try a vlog. Show the peeps what I do during the day and see what they think. And I did this video. I threw it up, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people started sending me messages going, hey, I'm thinking about getting into plumbing. This is my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Any way you can help me in my direction? Or I got questions like, I'm trying to figure out, should I go into electric or plumbing? And all of a sudden, the ball started rolling with this. And I was sitting back, still making video game videos, thinking to myself, man, I'm not getting nearly as much interest in my video game videos as I am in my plumbing video. So I did a couple of Q&As, and the Q&As were doing great as well. Let me show you. I got another one. Construction or plumbing? I did a Q&A called Construction or Plumbing. All by itself, it's sitting at 490 views. I did another one. Let me find it. Where is it? Construction or plumbing? Electric or plumbing? Where's electric or plumbing? Anyways, but what I'm trying to say is that I'm doing like a bunch of video games. And all of a sudden, the plumbing stuff starts taking off. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, like, what's going on here? So I started doing more plumbing related stuff. And before I knew it, I had you guys asking me questions, trying to find out my thoughts on different aspects of plumbing. And it was just such a weird evolution because for me, I got into the whole YouTube thing to do gaming because I was like, look, I get to play video games and make money. That's a great idea. Oh, sorry, peeps. It is Saturday morning and I'm just trying to stretch it out over here. So the very first video that was my very first vlog was the one that just hit 100 likes. And I just find it so crazy. So many people have watched this video unprompted by me. But they found it and they started watching it. There's so many people out there trying to figure out if plumbing's a good career for them. And I just find it so fascinating that I sort of stumbled across this community that we have here. And I feel really blessed to have done it because I was doing gaming to no success. Like gaming was just gaming. Nothing really happened with gaming. And now I'm looking at a bunch of videos that have gotten so many views all by themselves without any sort of monetization. So I wanted to go over a couple of we have a couple of new subscribers out there, and I wanted to go over a few questions. And I'm actually going to do an in-studio video very soon about a question I did get. So this week, a couple of comments that I got. Okay, there's a Q&A that I've done, which is why I became a plumber. This Q&A has gotten a lot of bad rap for the audio in it. And peeps, I need you guys to know, I get it. The music is very loud in it and sometimes sort of distracts you from being able to hear what I say. I've gotten that comment quite a bit, so I believe it and I understand. I even went back and I realized it was. But I don't currently have a way of solving this problem because I don't think there's a way of re-uploading something to a video that's already there. In other words, if I were to fix this, I would actually have to redo the audio in my video software and then re-upload a video, which I don't think I can do. The reason why I can't do that is because I already tagged this video. It's already getting lots of views. So I'm currently in the idea, I'm thinking about getting it closed captioned. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting it captioned, so that way, even if you can't hear it, you can see the what I'm saying. I'm thinking of doing that, so because I've gotten that comment quite a bit. So, peeps, I hear your concerns. I understand it's a bit irritating. I'm gonna try to fix that as soon as I can, as soon as I figure out how to do that. But this week I got a couple of interesting comments. I got one on my Agawa Canyon Park train tour. I went to Charity, and I took Charity to a canyon up near Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and really great footage in my opinion as well. And I actually got that comment by Ryan Hatton. Amazing footage. Thanks for reaching out, Ryan, by the way. Ryan later on asked me about drones. I'm thinking about getting a drone, however. Cost is a factor, as it is with most things nowadays. Any recommendations? And I already responded to you, Ryan, but I wanted to quickly tell you it really depends on your price range. You can get some pretty decent drones right now. DJI Mavic, the one I was using was the Mavic Pro. If you want to go even higher than that, they have the, what is it called? Phantom? Yeah, I think it's the Phantom 4 Pro, and then they have the Phantom Pro. That's the more expensive versions. The cheaper versions are like the Mavic Air, which is a tiny little drone. It's a baby version of the DJI Mavic, and the Mavic is already a pretty small drone. So you want to start looking in that range if you want to try to get the video quality similar to the ones that I shot there in the Canyon. I also got a question about finding clients, and this is by Heatflux. Heatflux asked a really interesting question that I'm going to do a video about, and the question is, if you're a bit old to start plumbing. Heatflux is 29 years old, wants to know, because I started when I was around 25 or 26, and Heatflux is 29, and he's just about, he or she, actually. Heatflux, I don't know what your gender is. That's why I said he or she just now. I don't want to assume your gender to be male. But nonetheless, let's take gender out of the equation. Heatflux is saying they are 29 years old, and they want to start plumbing. Is that too old? Heatflux, the quick answer to that is no, you're not too old. But I'm going to do an entire video about it because I think it's a really important question, because age has always been a question that I have pondered upon in my life, because I think it's a variable that sort of is a limiting variable, something that we use to limit ourselves to do stuff, and other times age can be used as a good thing. But I find that whenever you're asking this question with age, it's sort of hard to put things in perspective, and that's why I want to do a whole video about it this week. I also want to go ahead and get those vlogs up and going, because it's been a while since I've been able to do that. So, peeps, I think I'm going to leave it at that, actually. This is the very first podcast I've done in a very long time. And I used to call it Chronicles of a Plumber, and I think I'm going to keep it at Chronicles of a Plumber. So please do me a favor. Let me know if this is something you're interested in. If it is, we'll try to develop the podcast a bit better so I can get maybe weekly comments from you guys and I could talk to you guys about it or whatnot. But let me know if you like it. If you do, I'll keep doing it. If you don't, I might stray away from it. But peeps, thanks for listening. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you guys in the next vlog or in the next video. Kenny Molotov, guys. Peace, baby.